up, Maxim? Hello, welcome to Expat American. I'm an American who's been living in Russia under sanctions for over a year, and today I'm going to talk to real Russians, normal people, average Russians, right behind me that have been living in Russia with kids for this whole year.
Do my mic is on.
Yeah.
It's very tasty.
Russian have to be in the package on a thing, an American not.
Очень вредные. Эти банки.
Pringles.
Вообще
Та еще гадость.
это вообще таблица Менделеева.
Are you ready?
10
I want this video to be real and actually be about real people and not just be a clickbait sanctions video. So I want to actually talk with Pavel and Sveta and find out how sanctions have affected us. Who are you and how have sanctions affected you?
I'm just a random citizen of Moscow working for the government company. I do the video blog about cars, about off-road cars mostly. A lot of chain stores closed. Some of them very good stores like IKEA or Decathlon. This jacket was bought in Decathlon store. The YouTube canceled its monetization in Russia, so I'm not getting any money from USA from like a year and a half.
And that was like a part-time job for you?
A little bit, not a big money, but still it was nice.
And have sanctions affected the car industry?
Yes, a lot. Almost all cars just completely stopped functioning. All the sales, all the machinery, all the fabrics, everything is stopped. Like almost 100% of car manufacturing was like stopped.
Wow.
For the moment. And I think now, after everything settled down, we got maybe 15 or 60% of impact about car manufacturing. The Chinese factories came and like managed to fill the market again.
Wow.
Plus our self companies like UAZ, like Lada and Gaz, they changed a lot of parts.
Ты знаешь, что в Америке жарко? Жарко в Америке. Ты это знаешь? Жарко в Америке. Нет.
As I said before, we want this video to be about real things and talk to real people that have been living in Russia under sanctions and see how it's affecting them, specifically with kids. So, Sveta, who are you and how have sanctions been affecting you or people that you know?
So I'm a Russian who was living in the US for almost 10 years, and I came back to Russia a year ago. And what I noticed, a lot of my friends who had some, business or classes abroad, so it's difficult for them to pay for their bills, and they ask me sometimes if I can help them to pay, because we have some friends, in other countries. And that really affects them. So when they can't pay their bills, so they cannot order some services they, used to order from the US or Europe.
Pavel, that's interesting. You mentioned your YouTube channel not making any money for almost a year and a half because of the sanctions. So that's a big deal, I think. I know for myself, I calculate that it's like a part-time job for me financially, although it's a full-time job as far as time spent.
The other side of the medal that no commercials on YouTube.
Exactly. So I calculate I'm only getting like, let's say 30% of the money I would typically get off of it if there were no sanctions. So that's a way that sanctions has affected me personally and my kids, because they're not making you know, they don't have as many resources because their parents don't have as much resources. Same with you and Sveta, obviously. So Pavel, how many kids do you have?
2.
And Sveta?
5.
Fantastic. And Pavel, you've lived in Moscow your whole life?
Almost, yes.
Okay, all right, very good. What happened? Why is it almost?
Like not 100%.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Mystery man, doesn't want to say. And Sveta, you have not been in Moscow your whole life.
Yeah, I was living in Moscow a lot, many years, and then I moved to the US and I was living there for 10 years, and then I came back a year ago.
We was just walking down the street and then suddenly find this one. This is a random UAZ Patriot car. Russian, a little bit even Soviet car, and very interesting about this car is that I personally had the similar one but older. This is a newer, and I can see that this is a very new but before the sanctions car. Here I can see the Belgium USA French automatic gearbox. I know that it has the already Indian, but before it was the Korean transfer case. I see the Japanese steering wheel. My car also has the same Japanese steering wheel, plus the electronics from Bosch, Germany, and a lot of everything else. Now, for the modern cars, everything I just said is gone. Now we have very old Chinese gearbox, very bad. We do have Indian transfer case and the very simple Russian steering wheel with zero electronics such as ESP and ABS.
So you're fortunate because your car was bought before the sanctions.
Yeah, I do have the Korean transfer case, the Korean gearbox, and the Japanese steering wheel.
Now we're going to go into the mall and look at some shelves and talk about how sanctions are affecting things in Russia for the past year. Tell us, what is this giant building?
It's the Roving Center.
And how do you say that in English?
I don't know.
It's a mall. And what's in the mall?
A lot of magazines.
What is a magazine in English?
Magazine.
It's a store. No.
Oh, store.
In English, it's not a magazine. In English, a magazine is a disposable book. We've come to the toy section in Ashan, which is like Russian Walmart, although it's a French store. And I came here, and then like a week or so later, the sanctions started. So I don't personally know that much how things have changed. I have noticed, because I have kids and I like to buy toys for them, that there doesn't seem to be the same selection for me that I have in America. Like as far as like, you know, Superman, Batman stuff and Star Wars stuff like that. I bought a lot of that stuff in America and just brought it with me for my kids. Pavel, has there been a change in toys since the sanctions?
I think all toys, 100% of all toys made in China, so no difference in this.
All right, well there you have it from the guy who's lived here with sanctions
Maybe except
and
Lego.
without.
The Lego is left Russia. Maybe.
Lego? Yeah, I think Lego did. Yeah,
They
that's
did?
a big, yeah, I think so. Well, look it up for us.
I don't know.
Also, that's something to keep in mind if you're thinking you might want to move to Russia and you really care about your toys for yourself or for your kids, buy them ahead of time because they have lots of wonderful toys, but they're going to be different toys than what you're used to. All right, Pavel, go. Pavel is going to see how long it takes him to find a Western toy product in Russia. I think those are fake Transformers.
Just random Chinese stuff.
I like Monopoly in Russian, that's funny.
Yeah.
Is that a knockoff
Oh,
Monopoly?
this is the real Monopoly. Oh no. Monopoly.
Okay, I recognize that face. But then this is a pretend Monopoly, or not pretend, but this is like a Russian knockoff version.
Another fake Jenga.
Well, I would agree with Pavel saying that most of the goods are made in China. I remember I was with my friend working in one of the US shops, and she was like, I want to find something like made in the US, at least a candle, and you know, we couldn't find it. It was all made in China, or if it was made, it was very expensive. I think the same is almost everywhere in the world.
I think Coca-Cola disappeared, or they at least said they were going to disappear. And now I noticed there was this soda brand. I was like, wow, that's great. Russia's made their own product now, but it's not Russian. This is Coca-Cola, but with a Russian name on it. So there's a lot of companies, Western companies, that said, oh, we're not doing business with Russia, we're leaving. And they just changed their name. Or maybe they left for a little bit and then they came back with a different name.
Now you put them in trouble.
I did. I've gotten you in trouble.
What is cooler, Dobry Cola or Cool Cola?
Well, I actually was a little bit disappointed that they came back to the market because it's really not good for you and I don't want my children to drink it. But here
No
we
way,
are.
I'm agree. This is imported.
It's the same. So what I noticed, there are less French brands and Italian sorts
French
of
and
wine.
French mall.
Right, but now I can see all these, look at this.
I
It's
think it
all
was
the
here
wines of
before.
Russia. Wines of Russia, wines of Russia, I'm excited.
Russia has a lot of wines, even before the Soviet Union.
I liked Miller beer in America, so I came to Russia and it was hard to find. I liked Miller High Life, the fancy one. They don't have that at all. They do have some Miller, and I also like Pabst, which they did not have here that I saw until like a couple weeks ago. So sanctions happened, and all of a sudden, sanctions are still going on, but here's this American beer, Pabst, which is tasty. It's the type that I like. It's 143 rubles. But look down here. This Starry Milnik, I think it means old mill. Is that right, Pavel?
Yeah, it
So
is.
this is only 54 rubles. So it's like a third of the price.
But it's not tasty at all.
I like it. I think it tastes like Miller, and it's only like a third of the price. So if you are Western and you do ever live in Russia, search for the Russian brand that tastes like what you like in America. But there is still American stuff, even with sanctions. Here's Bud Light,
yeah.
Bud 66. But I mean, it's like all these Buds.
This beer is, I think, from the only independent beer factory in Russia before the craft beer comes in. So
That says
I
porter.
definitely-
Sveta likes dark beer.
It's like to separate the rainbow to the light and the dark part. There is no way you can separate the beer from light to the dark. It's a lot more complex.
Are there any food products that your kids loved eating that they no longer have available, or that they should be eating that they no longer have available because of sanctions?
No, I think not. Everything is here. We're still eating our own food, our Russian food.
So it's all the same.
Yeah, completely. Nothing is gone.
Looks full to me. And crowded.
And crowded, yeah, exactly.
Pay attention to the world's only product, a unique development that has no competitors in the world. Synthesit. It restores stem cells, restores the hematopoietic system, restores blood parameters, supplies oxygen to all organs and tissues. The unique action of Synthesit is unparalleled and supported by scientific research. It restores energy, stabilizes blood pressure, and restores the overall functioning of the body. It's a real phenomenon. Tens of thousands of people worldwide have already benefited from its help. Visit the links in the description to Synthesit's website and purchase it with delivery to any country in the world.
Не, это Россия.
Они делают, что ли?
This one made in Russia. Baskin Robbins, BR brand. But let's wait and see where is it made in. Россия, Москва, Russian made. Pretend to be USA.
Ну, может,
So,
они изготавливают в России?
No imported ice creams. Oh, maybe this one. No. Also Russians.
This is Russian candy, and Russian candy have to be in the packet, and American not. You're putting the candy in the packet on this. Up here, you
Prints out your ticket.
this.
Breakfast cereal. So come on in here, Pavel. Take a look. They have stuff that looks like what you'd see in America, but it is not the same. All the brands are different. One of my subscribers said, I hope they have this cereal or that cereal. They do not. You will have to find, if you're a Western and you move here, you will have to find a cereal that you like that is similar to what you're used to. So like this is popular, the pillows with chocolate or something stuffed inside. That's very popular here. It's not so popular in America, I would say. Frosted mini wheats, they're very popular in America and sort of healthy for you. Don't have that here. This is the sausage aisle. I may have mentioned in another video. In America, you might have maybe 20 or 30 choices of sausage at a store, which I think is a lot. Here they have an entire aisle all the way down and on both sides of nothing but sausage.
Apparently everything is named not Russian brands, is made here in Russia because it's just gonna be like rotten before it comes here. So, but the brands itself looks like not very changed though. The Ritter Sport,
Yeah, it's German.
the German, and Raffaello, like Ferrero, Toffee, and everything
Italian.
else is here. The brand names still here, no change. Milka, the Switzerland, I guess.
Let's see.
Alpen Gold, also Switzerland. The Mars bars, Twix, and everything else, the Snickers, of course, still here. And still cheap enough.
As I remember, I wasn't able to find it in American Walmart. Maybe I'm confused, or maybe it wasn't that popular, but I remember I was looking for Bounty because it was very popular in Russia, still is, this coconut candy bar.
Despite the fact that it is an American chocolate bar.
Yeah.
The funny thing about cheese that Russians do like cheese, and we got our own cheese, the Russian cheese, the Soviet cheese, and then the other countries starting to come to the Russia from the late 19th. We do starting to love the fancy cheeses from the French, from Italy, from Germany, and even after the sanctions started, the production of fancy cheeses started here in Russia, in Belarus, and every other country. So the big variety of cheese now is standard in every grocery store in Russia.
What is that?
This is slivki.
Which is what?
It's like milk, no, it's not milk.
Cream for coffee mostly, or for baking.
And I do remember it was very fun to recall how it was when the first Auchan was opened. It was a bit like a museum to go here and to see the fancy French cheese with a blue mold or something like strange looking cheese. It was expensive for that time, and it is less expensive right now, and now it's everywhere.
And sanctions have not changed this.
No, it was changed just a little bit when the old sanctions started after the 2014, and now it's just completely everywhere, so no sanctions can affect this type of blue mold cheese.
And this is the dairy aisle behind you, which to me looks really big. Looks like a lot of dairy. And it doesn't look empty.
Yeah, almost everything here is just a plain milk.
I like this brand. So the pickled mushrooms is like so popular in Russia. We have all kinds of pickled mushrooms. Look at this variety of all kinds of cans, and
not only cans.
Not only cans, right.
I think the
I
sanctions,
mean, on this shelf,
after all, that doesn't affect us at all. So there is everything we need, and
yeah, we're not starving things.
almost nothing is gone from the grocery stores. You can choose whatever you want just before, and nothing changed. And the prices, even the prices doesn't change, maybe just a little bit. The prices are rising everywhere.
It's called inflation, but it's not as awful.
As big as someone would expect. Orion, imported name brand.
Aha.
So the factories itself, you know, they are here in Russia. So putting the sanctions doesn't make the products go away. They can change the label, but the factory itself is still here. Nothing.
Well, I know when the sanctions started and I had just gotten here, people were a little bit freaked out. Go buy olive oil, go buy Parmesan cheese, because these things are not going to be here. I didn't do that, but I haven't noticed that type of change from, like, let's say fancy European products. Maybe they're not here, but for me, just an average guy, the shelves have remained full and the same. How about you?
I'm not a big shopper, so I got my wife to do the shopping stuff.
His wife does it for me. You hear that, the West?
Yes.
How chauvinist of him.
The biggest impact would be if the brand name that called the same name as the store itself disappear, go away. So this is gonna be the real impact, because if this store is closed, it is closed. You can't come here and buy these products because there is no other store there this product can be sold out. This has happened with the IKEA and some other chain stores. It was very popular here, and now they
But
gone.
now I heard IKEA left and now IKEA's come back.
Not the IKEA, as far as I know, the Belarusian Swede House brand name.
Oh,
With the same products.
Okay.
With the same products, but different name, different brand, different company.
what is that?
This is bread.
Dark bread.
Yeah, dark bread.
It's hard to find in America. I know, because I had a Russian wife there for 9 years. And in case you missed it, if you are an English-speaking subscriber, the Wall Street Journal put me in an article. The link is on the community tab for this page. And if you are a Russian subscriber, Russia 24 did a news segment in Gorky Park with Sveta and I. Okay, Pavel, I have an important question for you. Does Russia have baking powder and or baking soda?
I think we do.
So where is it?
I just don't know where to find it.
Let's see how smart you are.
I'm not like this my Sveta.
You
who
have your
used to
own
go
YouTube channel about
cars.
Russian vehicles.
I can find the UAZ in grocery store, but not the baking soda.
Does Russia have UAZ toys? Russian car toys?
Yes.
Very cool. You should buy some.
Maybe. I got 2 of them, actually. I found the baking soda for you. Soviet type of baking soda.
I like it even better. It's nostalgic,
Yes.
but not for me.
They keep the label, the decoration, the design.
And what about the other one? Baking powder.
I don't know.
I'll tell you because a subscriber helped me out. They said it's right behind him. And right behind him would be over here. And help me out here.
Разрыхлитель?
Which is,
I don't know.
I believe that is baking powder.
I'm not so good in this stuff.
I just used my phone translator, and yes, this is baking powder in Russia. So now I know Russia has everything. So even during sanctions, Russia has everything. What do you think of Russian sanctions with kids? Leave a comment, click like, subscribe, ring the bell notification, interrupt my speech, and send this to your friends. As I said before, we have the Patreon link if you want to support us with some money. And if you are a Russian subscriber and you want to support us and Patreon is no good for you, we're going to put our banking information in the description as well if you want to make donations. Does this look like the dairy shelves in your city?
Yes.
We are off mic because it's unreliable. You're not mic'd. You are mic'd. Okay, good. All right.
Я смотреть, какой страна это мороженое.
Молодец.
Automatic what? Automatic. Not
What? The gear shift.
gear.
The gearbox.
Gearbox. Box. This looks like a milk shelf in your shelf. No, not that.
Me, little YouTuber me.
God wants you to use the mic.
4 и 5.
Максим, смотри, у тебя есть такой символ?
Да.
Тогда ты можешь играть.
Баба,
Это я?
ты.